I hate baseball. I think it is one of the most boring sports in America. It takes too long, nothing happens, and there's way too many games throughout the year. It feels like an antiquated sport that might have been interesting in 1904, but not so much in 2025. However, I wanted to challenge myself to try and enjoy something that I normally avoid. So I went to a baseball game at one of the most iconic venues in sports to see if maybe there's something I've been missing out on. And at the end of this video, I'm going to provide a ranking to see just how enjoyable watching baseball really is. But first, let's check in with Past Zach and see how he's feeling at the game. I've arrived in the parking lot for the Cubs game. Big plus, free parking. Looks like a lot of people with lots of Cubs merch. They seem very excited. I am less so, been sitting in a significant amount of traffic. The vibes are low to start the game, so there'll be a big comeback, hopefully. Here we go. You might be wondering, is this really a video that needed to be made? Is this really content that the world needs to see? Or is this just an excuse for someone to go to a baseball game and justify it as a YouTube video investment? No comment. Now, that's not entirely true. I did want to go to a Cubs game while in Chicago, but I also wanted to give baseball another chance. I played it for about a year as a kid, but even then didn't really enjoy it. As an adult, I've been to a few games. I've gone with friends, significant others, and even tried watching it in like watch parties on TV, and man, it has just not gotten any better for me. However, I know a lot of people really like this sport, so I wanted to try and do a deeper dive and see if maybe there is something to this sport or if it's purely nostalgia. I'm also gonna rank the activity of going to a baseball game on a few standard criteria so that I can give you a totally objective numerical value for just how entertaining it actually is. I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of the odds are stacked against me, between me and baseball. You know, like we're really not destined to be friends. I just got a hot dog to take in because evidently it's really expensive at Cubs games. I just don't like hot dogs, and that's like a staple of the baseball experience, whereas I feel like other sporting events not necessarily. But I'm doing my best, and I feel like it's key, so we'll give it a shot. Before we go in, I think we need to establish some rules. Rule number one, no alcohol. Now before you yell at me, before you freak out, if it requires alcohol to enjoy your event or what you want to do, then it's just not fun. I'm sorry. If you can't enjoy a bar or a club without drinking, then that's not a fun environment. So no alcohol today. Rule number two is I have to stay for the whole game. If you leave something halfway through, and that's the only way to enjoy it, you don't see all of it, then it's not boring. If only the first half of a movie is enjoyable and you quit in the second half, it's not a fun movie. And then last but not least, is I have to have a budget. I don't set a specific budget because I don't know, it's kind of different for different people, but like, yeah, okay, if I splurged on the box seats and the special room and all that and spent a couple $100, yeah, I'm gonna have a fun experience. Just have to keep it reasonable. Now, you don't necessarily have to buy the cheapest tickets. I did. So we'll see how that turns out. But that being said, I'm gonna go to my seats. In the bottom of the fourth inning, Cubs are down 2-3. Now, what are my thoughts on baseball at the moment? We're not quite halfway through the game. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing it's been. You know, it's a little packed in there. I mean, the ambiance in general is good. The vibe is high, like great weather. But is the vibe that much better than if I was just outside anywhere? You know, I don't think so. That's part of it to consider. And just baseball, the sport is just not getting any more interesting. With so many sports, there's always levels of like the better you understand it, the more interesting it is. And I get that. You know, I like F1, I like tennis. In tennis, I really like the stats. There's a lot of more detailed stuff you can get into. But there's also just like crazy athleticism. You know, and maybe you see that sometimes in baseball. But like basketball, man. You see somebody dunk a basketball a couple times a game. And in baseball, most of the time they're standing around, they'll sprint for a little bit, and they'll stop. And I get that, you know, the whole pitching is insanely impressive and trying to hit one of those balls. And I understand that, like, that is one of the most difficult things to do in sports. I'll actually say I won't even understand it because I've never tried to swing at one of those pitches. I know there's a lot more depth to baseball that I'm missing out on. There's the psychological battle between the pitcher and the batter. The batter is trying to figure out which pitch is coming next, and the pitcher is trying to figure out what to throw based on what type of batter is at the plate. There's also the situational strategy. Who's on what base? How many outs are there? How dangerous is the batter? What pitcher did we just put in? How many innings are left? There's this constant buildup of stuff behind the scenes that's changing the game with every play. Then of course, there's the stats. This seems all-encompassing in baseball and way more prevalent than in any other sport. You've got batting average, on-base percentage, whip, ERA, and probably a billion other things that I don't even know about. Now, I don't think it's necessarily fair to expect people to learn all of that before they can enjoy your sport. I mean, I don't know the X's and O's, the different teamwork dynamics of basketball, but I find it pretty enjoyable to watch someone shoot a three or dunk the ball. However, this video is about trying to enjoy things, and I didn't really do a deep dive into all of these details before I went to the game. Because of that, I don't feel like I've necessarily given baseball a fair chance. So I've decided that if this video gets 100 likes, I'll make another video where I go to another game. Before the game, I'll do research into all of these different specifics, into the teams that are playing, into the different dynamics at play, so I'll have a much better idea of what's going on. Also try and bring a friend who actually likes baseball. I think having someone with a different perspective might change the way that I see the game. Okay, I have 5 criteria that I'm going to use to rate the enjoyableness on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the most. The first category is value. How much did I spend and how long did it last? It cost me about $40, $45 for a ticket to this game, and the game lasted around 3 hours, so $15 an hour. It's not crazy expensive, it's not free, so give it like a 5 out of 10. The next one is accessibility. Can anybody enjoy this activity? Can you enjoy this activity alone? Can you enjoy this activity without tons and tons of research and prep in advance? This one's tough for baseball. On the one hand, it's accessible in the sense that anyone can just come to a game and enjoy it as long as you have the money. But on the other hand, there's just so much you have to learn about the game before you even know what's going on. Innings, outs, balls, strikes, all that stuff. And that's just the basics, not even the additional stats like I mentioned. For all that, I'd probably give it a 5 in this category as well. The third criteria is thrill. Is there adrenaline? Does it get your heart pounding? This one, again, is kind of rough for baseball. It's not the most electric, death-defying sport. In the 3-hour game, there were probably 10 to 15 minutes of actual excitement, and the score was 5-4. So even as far as baseball games go, that's a pretty exciting game. So given all that, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10. The fourth category is ambiance, and man, this is where baseball really shines. It's hard to beat sitting outside on a warm summer day, a view of the city skyline, and I don't know, everybody at the game just feels happy. Like, that's one thing about this sport, I feel like, compared to other ones, is that the vibe and the ambiance of people around you is just great. Everyone feels like they're really happy to be there, just to be outside enjoying a game of baseball. However, there's always the downside at these big sporting events of loud, obnoxious, drunk people, and I'm also not sure it's that much better than if I just went to a park and sat outside and enjoyed the nice weather with a view of the city, you know? So, keeping all that in mind, I'd still give it an 8 out of 10 for ambiance. The final category is X Factor. Is there anything about this experience that stood out, that surprised me, that I wasn't expecting? For this one, it starts on a 5 if nothing crazy happens, and then it goes down if there's something crazy bad that happens, and goes up if there's something crazy good. As far as baseball games go, I mean, this one was pretty standard. I will say it was cool. I got to meet a Brazilian guy sitting next to me who was visiting for work. Never been to a baseball game before, so we were talking about this sport and kind of how we were trying to enjoy it and trying to learn about what was going on. And while that's not like an experience that everyone's gonna have, I do think this is interesting with baseball, that the ambiance of it creates this friendly, chatty environment. You know, because the sport is not crazy active, like there's not always stuff going on, it's really easy to talk to people next to you, make new friends, and everybody has some history with the sport. So because of that friendly environment, that was really cool, and that wasn't something I was necessarily expecting to see at the game. The other thing is the Cubs won, and so when the Cubs win, they have the little song that they sing, like "Go Cubs Go." And I didn't know that they did that. So that was fun. It's always fun singing a little song at the end. So because of that, I will give it a 6 out of 10 for X Factor. That brings us to a total score of 28 out of 50, which puts it firmly in the meh category. Not something I would necessarily recommend, but I mean, it's not the worst activity. The barrier to entry to enjoy watching baseball just feels really high, and the excitement payoff for that effort just doesn't feel like it's there. Although, it definitely wasn't the worst way to spend an evening in Chicago. The weather was great, the people were really nice, and it was a cool way to see a different side of Chicago culture. That being said, don't forget to leave a like if you want to see the sequel. We'll give this sport one last chance. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.